They say that after 40, life starts to slow down, that your best years are behind you, that your chances of building wealth, chasing dreams, or reinventing yourself are long gone. But let me ask you something. Who made that rule? Because if you really think about it, who decided that 40 is the beginning of the end? Who said the moment you blow out those 40 candles, your opportunities somehow vanish? Here's the truth. They lied. 40 isn't a finish line. It's a restart button. It's that beautiful moment where life pauses and says, all right, now that you've seen what doesn't work, let's try again, this time with wisdom. See, by 40, you've lived, you've fallen, learned, loved, failed, and stood back up more times than you can count. You've seen enough storms to know that rain doesn't last forever, and you've built enough resilience to rise stronger than before. So no, you're not behind. You're exactly where you need to be. This chapter isn't about running faster than everyone else. It's about walking in your own lane, at your own pace, toward a life that truly fulfills you. 40 is not too late. It's finally time. Time to live intentionally. Time to build wealth wisely. And time to write the chapter you'll be proud to call your comeback story. Part 1. The 40-year myth, breaking the limiting belief. You know, somewhere along the way, society quietly sold us a lie that success has an expiry date, that if you haven't made it by 40, you've somehow missed your shot. We were handed a checklist at birth. Graduate by 25, get married by 30, own a home by 35, be rich, settled, and unshakably successful by 40. And if you're not, if life didn't go according to that perfect timeline, you start feeling like you failed at something everyone else figured out. You scroll through social media and think, they're ahead, I'm behind. But you're not behind. You're just in a different season. See, life doesn't run on a stopwatch. It runs in seasons, each one with its own lessons. Your 20s? That was the decade of discovery. You were learning who you are, experimenting, stumbling, making choices you thought made sense at the time. Your 30s? That was the decade of survival. Juggling bills, jobs, relationships, children, expectations. Often feeling like you were giving more than you were getting back. But your 40s? That's the decade of awakening. The moment you realize that all those years, the wins and the losses, were preparing you for this moment. Because now, you finally have what many 25-year-olds are still searching for, clarity. You know what you value. You know what drains you. You can spot nonsense from a mile away because you've seen it before. And that kind of wisdom, it's priceless. Now, you understand that wealth isn't just a number in your account. It's control, the ability to choose how you spend your time. It's peace, waking up without anxiety breathing down your neck. It's purpose, doing what truly matters to you, not what impresses others. So, forget the myth that your dreams expire at 40. The truth is, your 40s are the most powerful years of your life. Because now, you're building from experience, not from ego. You're not chasing validation. You're chasing meaning. And that shift right there, that's where real wealth begins. Part 2. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. You've lived through life's tests. And let's be honest, some of them were brutal. You've made mistakes that left scars, but those scars, they're proof that you survived. So when you start again at 40, you're not building from scratch. You're building from wisdom. You're not the same person who used to chase every shiny opportunity or believe every get-rich-quick promise. You've seen enough to know that shortcuts often lead in circles. You've witnessed bad investments, maybe lost money in one. You've dealt with people who only call when they needed something. You've learned the painful difference between having money and managing money. You've seen how easily debt can trap you, how quickly time passes, and how priceless peace of mind truly is. And yet, here you are, still standing, still dreaming, still willing to try again. That's not failure, that's strength. At this stage of life, you're no longer building blindly. You're building intentionally. You're no longer chasing every trend. You're creating a strategy that makes sense for you. You're no longer running on impulse. You're moving with purpose. And that right there is the difference between chasing money and building wealth. Because wealth, real wealth, isn't built from excitement. It's built from experience. You now understand that slow progress is still progress. That consistent habits matter more than grand plans. That peace, health, and relationships are part of your financial portfolio too. Your foundation today is stronger than it's ever been because it's built on lessons life taught you the hard way. And that's something number 20-year-old startup founder, no viral influencer, and no market crash can take from you. So don't ever say you're starting over. You're simply building forward, this time on solid ground. Part 3, the new definition of wealth. Let's pause for a moment and redefine what wealth really means. Because somewhere along the way, we got it twisted. We started believing that wealth meant designer clothes, flashy cars, or how many people double tap your photos online. We tied our self-worth to what we could show instead of what we could feel. But true wealth, it's quieter than that. It's not about being seen. It's about being at peace. Wealth is waking up in the morning without that knot of anxiety in your chest. It's knowing the bills are paid, your family is safe, and you're not living one emergency away from chaos. Wealth is sitting down to a meal you love, maybe something simple, homemade, and eating it slowly without guilt or worry. It's choosing rest when your body asks for it. Not because you're lazy, but because you've earned the right to protect your peace. Wealth is being able to say no without fear. No to toxic jobs. No to draining people. No to a lifestyle that looks rich but feels empty. It's spending time with your kids, not your boss. It's having options, not obligations. It's waking up knowing you own your time, your choices, and your happiness. And yes, it's also having financial stability, not for the sake of showing off, but for the security and dignity it brings. So you can help your parents if they need it. So you can support a cause you care about. So you can live life without that constant sense of panic. If you can build that kind of wealth, even if it takes 5, 10, or 20 years, you've already won. Because that's the kind of wealth that doesn't crash with the markets. It doesn't lose value when trends change. It grows quietly in the quality of your days and the calmness of your nights. And that, right there, is the kind of wealth the world needs more of. Part 4, the mindset shift from panic to purpose. They say when you hit 40, the clock starts ticking louder, as if life is warning you that time is running out. And maybe you felt it, that quiet panic that whispers, "Did I waste too much time? Can I still make it?" But here's the truth. Panic doesn't build anything. Purpose does. This isn't the season for comparing yourself to the people who started earlier. It's a season for owning your story, with all its detours, delays, and lessons. Because by 40, you've seen things. You've made mistakes, lost money, trusted the wrong people, maybe even started over a few times. But that doesn't make you behind. It makes you aware. It gives you something 20-year-olds can't buy: perspective. Now, wealth building isn't about chasing every shiny idea. It's about building with intention. You don't have to move fast. You just have to move with clarity. So pause and ask yourself these 3 questions. 1, what do I truly value now? Maybe it's peace over pressure. Maybe it's health over hustle. 2, what can I let go of mentally, financially, emotionally? Sometimes freedom comes from subtraction, not addition. 3, what kind of life do I want to live 10 years from today? Picture it. The laughter around your dinner table, the calm mornings, the debt-free peace. Because once you define that vision, everything changes. You stop chasing what looks good and start building what feels right. Your spending becomes more intentional. Your savings become meaningful. And your work starts serving your life, not consuming it. This stage isn't about catching up. It's about coming alive with purpose, wisdom, and unshakable clarity. And once you shift from panic to purpose, that's when your real wealth story begins to unfold. Because the next step is turning that mindset into momentum. Let's talk about how to actually build wealth after 40, step by step. Part 5, building wealth after 40, turning wisdom into wealth. So now that you've shifted from panic to purpose, it's time to turn that clarity into action. Here's what most people get wrong about building wealth after 40. They think they're too late to start. But the truth is, This is actually one of the best decades to build real, sustainable wealth. Why? Because at 40, you're not chasing trends. You're chasing truth. You're not gambling with money. You're managing it with experience. You've already made the rookie mistakes, the unnecessary loans, the impulse buys, the "I'll start saving next year" excuses. Now, every financial decision can come from wisdom, not emotion. Let's break it down. Step 1. Audit your life, not just your finances. Before you fix your bank account, fix your awareness. Where is your money really going every month? Not what you think, what you know. Track everything for 30 days. Every expense, every payment, every small "I'll pay later" decision. You'll be shocked at how many leaks exist in your financial bucket. Then ask yourself, does this still serve me? That gym membership you never use? That streaming app you forgot about? That expensive lifestyle habit you don't even enjoy anymore? Cut it. Simplify your life so you can amplify your wealth. Remember, simplicity creates surplus. Step 2. Build a freedom fund, not just a savings account. In your 20s, saving was about survival. In your 40s, it's about security and freedom. Start with an emergency fund, at least 6 months of expenses. But don't stop there. Build a freedom fund. This is money that gives you options to take a break, change careers, start a side hustle, or say no to toxic environments. Freedom money isn't about luxury. It's about peace of mind, knowing you're not one paycheck away from panic. Step 3. Invest with clarity, not FOMO. You don't need to chase crypto hype or get-rich-quick schemes. Focus on solid, boring, proven wealth builders. Index funds and ETFs like the S&P 500, dividend-paying stocks, real estate, especially rental units or land in growth areas. And don't overlook your own skills, the best investment you'll ever make. The goal isn't to double your money overnight. It's to make steady progress. Every year, every month, every decision. If you invest $500 consistently every month for 10 years with modest returns, you'll be amazed how compound growth quietly transforms your financial reality. Remember, wealth doesn't shout. It whispers through consistency. Step 4. Monetize what you know. At 40, you've gathered decades of skills, knowledge, and wisdom. You've solved problems, led teams, raised kids, survived challenges. That experience has value. So ask yourself, how can I turn my experience into income? Can you teach what you know? Consult? Write? Mentor? Start a YouTube channel, podcast, or online course. We live in a digital world that pays for expertise. And your experience, is your most underused currency. You're not too late to start. You're perfectly positioned to leverage what you already know. Step 5. Build wealth that outlives you. True wealth isn't just what you earn, it's what you leave behind. Start thinking legacy. Do you have a will? A life insurance policy? Investments in your children's future? These are not later decisions. They're now decisions. Build systems that will keep your family safe even when you're not around. Because real wealth isn't just about having enough for you. It's about creating enough to bless others. So if you've ever looked at your life and thought, I should have started earlier, remember this. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. But the second best time is right now. Because when wisdom meets action, 40 becomes your greatest decade yet. Part 6. The power of patience. Why slow wealth wins after 40. Let's be honest. Patience is hard. Especially today, when everything moves fast. Social media shows 25-year-olds buying luxury cars and million-dollar homes. And suddenly, your journey starts to feel slow. But here's the truth. Slow isn't failure. In fact, slow wealth, intentional, steady, patient growth, is the most powerful kind of wealth there is. Because when you're in your 40s, you're not trying to prove something. You're trying to preserve something. Your peace, your energy, your sanity. You've learned that shortcuts often lead to setbacks. You've seen the hype, the scams, the people who lost it all chasing fast money. And now you understand, the goal isn't to get rich quick. It's to get rich forever. Patience builds strength. Think of wealth like planting a tree. You don't dig it up every week to see if it's growing. You water it, protect it, and let time do its work. That's how your investments, your business, your career evolve. Little by little, they grow roots. And before you know it, they start bearing fruit, quietly, steadily, faithfully. In your 40s, you don't have to rush. You have to trust. Trust your discipline. Trust your experience. Trust the process. Because wealth built slowly is wealth that stays. Patience protects peace. When you stop rushing, you stop comparing. You start realizing that everyone's timeline is different. Maybe your friend retired at 45, and you're still building. Maybe your neighbor drives a new car, and you're still investing quietly. That's okay, because while others are showing off what they bought, you're building what can't be taken away. Freedom, confidence, and peace of mind. You've reached a point in life where you don't need to chase validation. You just need to stay consistent. As Warren Buffett said, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient, and that applies to life too. Patience multiplies value. When you give your money time, it multiplies. When you give your habits time, they compound. When you give your dreams time, they mature. The key word here is compound. It's not just a financial principle. It's a life principle. Every small act of discipline, saving, investing, learning, staying consistent, compounds into results far greater than your effort. And the best part? Compounding doesn't care when you start, only that you stay. So if you begin at 40, 45, or even 50, the moment you stay consistent, you activate the power of patience. And that's where the real transformation begins. Because at this stage in life, you don't just need more money, you need more meaning. And that's exactly what we'll explore next. How to build wealth that actually feels good. Wealth that serves your happiness, your purpose, and your peace. Part 7. Wealth that feels good. Building financial peace, not just riches. Let's talk about something we don't hear enough of. Wealth that feels good. Because at some point, you realize money alone isn't enough. You can have all the cars, the gadgets, the vacations. But if your mind is restless and your heart is heavy, that's not wealth. That's just expense with decoration. Real wealth, the kind that feels good, looks very different. It's quiet, peaceful, grounded. It's waking up without anxiety. It's enjoy your cup of tea in the morning without rushing to check your phone. It's being able to say no without fear. It's knowing that your bills are paid, your loved ones are safe, and your time is yours. Because wealth isn't measured by how much you earn. It's measured by how freely you live. 1. Financial peace starts with alignment. You reach real wealth when your money and your values finally agree. If you say you value family, but your job steals every moment from them, that's not wealth. If you say you value health, but your schedule leaves you drained, that's not wealth. If you say you want freedom, but your lifestyle depends on debt, that's not freedom. Financial peace starts the day you're spending, you're saving, and your purpose start working together. So ask yourself, does my money reflect a life I truly want? If not, it's time to realign. 2. Spend on joy, not just stuff. You probably heard the saying, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy peace of mind. So spend wisely. Spend on memories, not just materials. On experiences that feed your soul, not just your feed. Take that trip you've postponed for years. Buy books that inspire you. Invest in your health. Treat your parents. Support a cause. Because that's what wealth feels like, being able to give, enjoy, and live without guilt. 3. Wealth that includes others lasts longer. When you start using your wealth to lift others, it multiplies in meaning. Help someone start a business. Pay school fees for a child who reminds you of your younger self. Share knowledge. Teach, mentor, inspire. Because money that moves through kindness leaves a legacy that money kept in isolation never could. And at this stage in life, you start realizing true wealth isn't about what you have. It's about who you become in the process of earning it, calm, generous, and fulfilled. For wealth that feels good is sustainable. You don't need 1,000,000 shillings to feel rich. You just need balance. A balanced life is one where you can rest without guilt, work with joy, and give with freedom. You don't need to escape your life. You just need to build one that doesn't drain you. Because peace, that deep, quiet satisfaction, is the highest form of wealth. And that's the kind of wealth that your 40s, 50s, and 60s were designed to build. So now that you understand what real wealth feels like, let's talk about how to protect it. Because the moment you begin to grow and glow, life will test your patience, your priorities, and your peace. And that brings us to the next chapter. Part 8. Guarding your growing wealth, staying grounded when success comes. Here's something few people talk about. Once you start winning financially, the real challenge begins. Because success brings noise. Everyone has advice. Everyone wants a piece of you. And suddenly, if you're not careful, you can lose the piece you worked so hard to build. That's why guarding your growing wealth is just as important as building it. 1. Stay humble when the numbers rise. Money doesn't change who you are. It amplifies who you've always been. So when success finally comes, stay grounded. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to broadcast every achievement. In your 40s and beyond, quiet success is your power. Let your results speak louder than your lifestyle. Buy what brings peace, not what brings praise. And remember, it's better to be wealthy than to look wealthy, because those who need to show it often don't have it. 2. Protect your peace like a treasure. Wealth without peace is poverty in disguise. So as you grow financially, protect your emotional and mental space just as fiercely. Say no more often. Keep your circle small. Stay away from negativity, envy, and drama. Even if it's family, your peace is your greatest return on investment. Guard it like gold. 3. Don't let lifestyle inflation rob your freedom. This is one of the biggest traps after 40. You start earning more, and without realizing it, your expenses rise to match. You upgrade your car, your house, your wardrobe, but your savings, they stay the same. And suddenly, you're back to living paycheck to paycheck, only with shinier things. Pause. Before every big purchase, ask yourself, will this improve my life or just impress others? Because real freedom comes from less pressure, not more possessions. Lie below your means so you can live above your worries. 4. Keep learning. The game keeps changing. Even after 40, never stop learning about money. Because the financial world evolves. New tools, new opportunities, new threats. Read books, watch finance channels, attend seminars, follow credible mentors. Knowledge is the fence around your fortune. And when you keep learning, you keep growing. Not just your income, but your intelligence. 5. Remember why you started. When things get busy, it's easy to forget your why. The reason you wanted freedom in the first place. Your family, your health, your peace. So come back to that often. Your wealth is a tool to serve your life, not the other way around. Use it to create time for what truly matters, relationships, experiences, and rest. Because success without soul isn't success, it's just noise. So as you guard your growing wealth, remember this. Money may open doors, but wisdom keeps them open. And the moment you learn to protect both your wealth and your peace. But there's one more thing most people overlook. The emotional resilience that keeps you grounded when life throws curveballs. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. That's when you truly start living wealthy. Part 9. The emotional side of wealth. How to stay strong when life tests you. Let's get real for a moment. Wealth isn't built on spreadsheets alone. It's built on emotions. Because the truth is, no matter how old you are or how much you've learned, life will still test you. There will be seasons of uncertainty. Maybe an investment doesn't work out. Maybe a job ends unexpectedly. Maybe a medical emergency drains your savings. It happens, but your power lies not in avoiding storms. It's in learning how to stand tall through them. 1. Wealth requires emotional resilience. When you're young, setbacks shake you. When you're wise, setbacks shape you. At 40 and beyond, your emotional strength becomes your greatest asset. Because now you understand, failure isn't final. It's feedback. It's life saying, adjust course, not quit. You survived worse. You've buried dreams and built new ones. So when life tests you again, breathe, recalibrate, and rise, slower but stronger. Remember, consistency beats intensity. You don't need to rebuild overnight. Just refuse to stay down. 2. Money can't fix emotional gaps. A big account won't heal an empty heart. You can't buy purpose. You can't purchase peace. So while you build wealth, build within. Work on forgiveness, on patience, on gratitude. Because the richest people aren't the ones with the most. They're the ones who've learned to stay content even in uncertainty. When your peace isn't tied to your paycheck, that's real strength. 3. Learn the art of surrender. Not everything will go as planned, and that's okay. Sometimes life's delays are actually divine protection. When that investment fails or that business slows, instead of asking, why me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Surrender isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's trusting that you can lose money and still keep meaning. Because what's meant for you doesn't pass you by. It prepares you first. 4. Protect your emotional energy. Be mindful of who has access to your mind and heart. Surround yourself with people who speak life, not fear. People who celebrate your progress, not your pressure. At this stage, peace isn't optional, it's survival. And your emotional energy is the engine behind every decision you make. So protect it, guard it, and remember, not everyone deserves front row seats to your growth. 5. Gratitude turns pain into power. When life tests you, anchor yourself in gratitude, because gratitude doesn't erase pain, but it gives it purpose. Be thankful for the lessons that came with loss, for the people who stayed when things got hard, for the second chances that showed up disguised as failures, because gratitude turns even the hardest seasons into soil for your next breakthrough. So yes, life will test your patience, your plans, and your peace. But remember, storms don't sink people who know how to float in faith. And when you master your emotions, money will no longer control you. You'll control it. Because now you're not just building wealth. You're building emotional freedom. And that brings us to one of the most powerful truths of all. Part 10. It's never too late. The comeback story you haven't written yet. Let me remind you of something. It's never too late. Not too late to dream again. Not too late to start that business you shelved for years. Not too late to invest, to save, to learn, or to rise. Because here's the truth most people forget. Age doesn't limit your potential. It sharpens it. Every scar, every heartbreak, every wrong turn has prepared you for this exact chapter. You are not behind. You're just being refined. 1. Comebacks don't need permission. You don't need anyone's approval to start over. You don't need perfect timing or perfect conditions. You just need courage, the quiet kind that whispers, let's try again. Every millionaire comeback story started with that whisper. From the 55-year-old who turned a side hustle into an empire, to the single mom who built financial freedom from her kitchen table. They didn't wait for everything to make sense. They moved anyway. So stop counting your years. Start counting your opportunities. 2. The power of small, consistent action. Every day, do one thing that moves you forward, even if it feels tiny. 1 saving, 1 call, 1 video watched, 1 mindset shift. Because success rarely happens in explosions. It happens in quiet repetitions. The gym you keep showing up to, the budget you finally stick to, the skill you practice when nobody's watching. That's how comebacks are born, not in noise, but in discipline. 3. Your story can inspire a generation. You have no idea who's watching your rise. Your children, your friends, your community. Every time you choose to get up after life knocks you down, you're writing a story of resilience. You're showing others that it's possible. That strength isn't about never falling. It's about never staying down. The world needs to see your comeback, because your courage might just become someone else's hope. 4. The best chapter is still ahead. If you still have breath, you still have purpose. You still have time to rebuild, to rise, to glow differently. So don't look back wishing you started sooner. Look forward, grateful that you still can, because wealth isn't about how early you began. It's about how faithfully you continued. And when your persistence meets purpose, miracles happen. So wherever you are in life, whether you're restarting at 40, rebuilding at 50, or rediscover yourself at 60, remember this. Your story isn't over. It's just getting good. You are living proof that it's never too late to become everything you were meant to be. If this message spoke to your heart today, hit that like, share it with someone who's ready for their comeback, and subscribe to WealthQuench, where we don't just talk about money, we talk about meaning. Because wealth without purpose is empty, but a purpose-driven life, that's true abundance.